Hello, everybody. GDSC extends a very warm welcome to each one of you present here today at this webinar on cracking the Google STEP Internship. Google strongly believes in the power of collaboration and partnership, and endorsing that spirit, we are here today. We are glad to inform you that we are collaborating with GDSC NIT Silchar to bring incredibly informative event for our audience. To address this webinar, we have with us Ms. Saumya Karnwal, a third-year computer science student with specialization in artificial intelligence here at NSUT. She has been selected as a STEP intern and a generation scholar at Google in 2023. She shares a keen interest in programming languages like C++ and full-stack web development as well. Saumya ma'am was also a finalist at Smart India Hackathon 2023. And as a cherry on the cake of her remarkable professional and technical achievements, she has also been a part of the under 19 Indian cricket team. Over to you, Saumya ma'am. We welcome you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. So I would like to start the session by, giving an overview of the objectives, the things that I have planned out for this session. So I would like to discuss the application and selection process of the Google STEP and address all of your queries, whether that is regarding what are the requirements, who can apply, what is the process, more about the program, what can we expect after getting selected, and most importantly, why is this a program that's, can really be a game changer in your life. So with that being said, the first question that comes to everyone's mind is, what is Google STEP? And I'm pretty sure that all of you here have, gone through and are aware that, okay, Google STEP, it is an internship program. It has a duration of 10 to 12 weeks. It is a paid internship where for underrepresented groups in the field of technology. But the real question is, why Google STEP? Why is it so special? And what impact will it make in your life? And what should you expect? So every time when you think why Google STEP, the first thing that comes to mind is it is a paid internship. There is obviously some sort of monetary aspect that comes into play. Another thing is that it adds a lot of value to your resume. But the real reason why Google STEP contributes a lot is the industrial exposure that it provides. So this was the first time when I worked on a real world project, learned a completely different tech stack, was working with a huge code base, and was constantly supervised by a mentor. So in terms of technical growth, it can be very fulfilling. And not just that, it develops a different applicative and problem solving side of you, where you experience growth in terms of both exposure, networking, technical knowledge, personal advancement, um, and whatnot, to be honest. I wouldn't say, I would say it is one of the best opportunity that Google provides to a second year student. And we all should try to, leverage it as much as possible. Next slide. So overview and timeline of the process. To start with, I just want to tell that this program has a very simple application process. It is very straightforward, and the requirements, sorry, what about
Doubt will be
men
cleared
in...
at the end of the session. Don't worry. Okay. You can continue.
Yeah, I would like to tell you guys that I have planned out a question and answer session towards the end. I will be addressing everyone's doubt towards the end of the session. And also I'll be reviewing your resumes. If you want feedback on it, I'll be giving feedback. So let's just wait to get towards the end, and then you can all raise your queries. Yeah, so overview and timeline of the process. It has one of the most simplest process of applying, and the best part about it is they do not expect a lot from you. The only thing they really expect you to do is to have a basic knowledge of DSA, and like you being comfortable with a coding language, whether it is C++, whether it's Java, whether it's Python. So if you look at it, the process can be divided into 3 steps. The first one being applying on the portal or through the TNP, whatever it may be, off campus or on campus. In this first step, the only important thing is your resume, because you'll be attaching your resume. And although there is no as such shortlisting that takes place using the resume, but resume is a very important part of the process. The second step is online assessment. Online assessment is a coding round, a timed coding round, where you'll be having 2 questions, and then the first round of shortlisting takes place on basis of this online assessment, and that's why it is a very important and crucial aspect of the selection process. And the last point is the technical interviews. So there are 2 eliminative technical interviews that take place for the people who've been shortlisted after the online assessment. Moving on, next slide, please. Resume. So I've seen people be very casual about resume, but I think resume, not just in this case, but in every case, plays a huge role. That one sheet document helps you convey your skill sets, your achievements, your projects, your co-curriculars. So that's the yes, I will be sharing my resume. Just hold on. Just hold on to it. So yeah. I was just answering the chat. So, guys, be patient. I will be sharing my resume. I'll be going about all the topics. Don't put in questions in the chats right now. I'll be addressing them towards the end of the session. Yeah. So, resume is very important because it's the first formal communication you have with the person who's reviewing you as a candidate. So, you are supposed to convey your skill set, your achievements, and all of that. So, the first thing while you're making your resume should be that it should be very formal, and it should be drafted in such a way uh, that it looks appealing to one's eye. I've seen a lot of people using Word doc for making resumes, and I would highly discourage that practice. I recommend everyone using tools like Overleaf to make their resume. Format it in a proper way where you have different subsections, and each subsection has proper spacing. It is aligned properly. There should be no spelling errors. Everything should be in a chronological order. Your recent achievements should be on top. When you're listing a project, the recent projects should be on top, which somehow reflects your progress that you're making alongside. Another thing is, I've seen resumes, sometimes they're very wordy, they're very texty, they're full of information that the person reviewing might not really want to know. So while you're writing the resume, just keep in mind, it's not just about what you want to convey to the person who is reviewing it, but also what the person reviewing it wants to know about you. So try to highlight your achievements, highlight the points that you want the other person to know about you. So this is my resume, and at the top I have my name. So, and then I have my contact information. It is really important for you to attach your GitHub link, your LinkedIn link, your mail, and your contact number. Your contact number might be optional, but again, there's no harm. The next thing you'll notice that when you look at my resume, it's not the most recent updated version, but if you have a look at it, you will see that it is well formatted, and there are the spacing is right. I've proofread it for typos, and the template is professional and it looks formal. I have divided it into several subsections, and the division of such subsections might be totally up to you. So it is a very subjective thing. For me, I would like to highlight my experience and achievements. So I have placed them above my project skills and co-curricular. For someone else, they would like to highlight their co-curricular. So they might place it a little above their projects, or that order is totally up to what you want to, how you want to present yourself. So starting, I have education, then I have experience, I have achievements, I have projects. Now projects are really important. I would recommend everyone to have at least 2 or 3 projects. When I say project, your project should have a title. It should have a 2-3 line description telling what you have done, what are the technologies and the tech stack used in the project, what problem it is solving. Another thing that I would recommend is when you make a project, try and deploy it and get the deployed link. So a lot of people do make the project, but they do not deploy it. Deploying a project is a very simple process, and adding your deployed link just adds a lot of value to your resume. So I have 3 projects. These are not my current projects, but the projects that I had during the STEP internship, and they have been I have the deployment link attached to it. Yes, that's about it. Can we go back to the slide, please? So again, I would like to repeat myself towards the end of the session. If you guys want to share your resume and would want me to have a look at it and give some constructive feedback, we will do that after the question answering session. And people who would want to do that can stay back and later on share their resumes with me. Next page, next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. I think we missed the slide. Online assessment slide. I think the previous, yeah. Thank you. So the second step is online assessment. I think we are all familiar with what online assessment means. But for those who don't know, it's an coding round which you can give from any place. Particularly coding round of STEP is in this format. You will have 1 hour 30 minutes to complete the coding round, and you will have 2 questions that you'll have to solve in this duration. First one will be an easy question. If I had to rate it in terms of lead code difficulty level, I would say it would be easy to medium. Generally everyone is able to solve one question, and the second question will be a little tricky, and it is probably lead code medium to hard. It varies every year. So you'll get 1.5 hours to complete these 2 questions. The best thing about this coding round is there is partial marking. That is, if you pass half of the test cases, you will still be marked accordingly. And I have seen a lot of people get selected who not solved both of the questions. They just solved 1.5 question. So it is always a good practice to attempt, even if you're not able to optimize your code, even if the time complexity is n square and not n log n as how it's expected. It's okay to code it out because you will be getting partial marks and be evaluated accordingly. So another very important thing that a lot of people do is they copy paste the code from some platform, or probably ask someone else who's participating for help. So that would lead to flag, and Google strictly take cares of it. If two people are having similar code, the chances of both not making it to the next stage is very likely. So make sure that you're writing the code on your own and your code is unique. You're not sharing it with anyone, because both of you will not be able to make it to the next round. Another thing that I would like to share about online assessment is whenever there is something that is time bound, like you have to solve these 2 questions in 1.5 hours. So whenever you have things like this, there is a general human tendency to panic. So I remember giving my online assessment, and although the first question was very easy, for the first 5 minutes, I did not know. My body was not responding. I was not able to process, although the question was very easy, but I was not able to solve it. So be calm, do not panic. If if you're good with DSA, the logic to solve the question will come to you. Just stay calm and don't give in early. As in, if you have 1.5 hours to solve it, try your best to solve both the questions. Even if you're not getting anywhere through, just give it some more time, and it's just a matter of 1 hour 30 minutes. Give your 100%, be consistent till the end. I remember the second question that I solved was probably last 15 minutes. I coded my second question in last 15 minutes. So don't lose hope. It might not come, the answer might not come to you in the early stage, but eventually you might just, it might just strike to you. So the advice that I would give for online assessment is that do not panic, and try solving the question on your own. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this is the last step, and in fact, according to me, the most easy step of the whole process. I found the interviews to be really fun. The interviewers do not expect a lot from you, as they know that you're second year students. They just expect you to have basic knowledge of DSA. They do not ask about things like project, uh, uh, or any core concepts like OOPS, DBMS. They're just focused on DSA. And in fact, to be very honest, basic DSA, they do not ask advanced questions. So there are 2 technical rounds, and both are eliminative in nature. The interviews also take place in online mode. So after the first round, if it goes well, you will get a call for the second round, and it will happen. I think if one has happened at one gets over at 10, the second one might be at 11. So it's just back to back, one after the other. And if I recall my interview experience, I had the interviewer came, he introduced himself. He had my resume with him, knew my name, and he did not ask anything else. He just straight away went and asked me if I'm ready, and he gave me the first question. So you don't have to panic for the interviews. Interviews are going to be pretty easy. And you're supposed to code on Google Docs. You will not be provided some platform like VS Code or any other compiler. So in case if you have a habit of autocomplete, if you have a habit of a compiler correcting your syntaxes, don't rely on that. You will be coding on a platform that is similar to Google Docs. It'll be plain white sheet. You will not be able to compile the code. You will not be running it. You'll just be sharing your approach and how did you approach the problem and what is your solution. The trick to cracking interviews, not just step. No, there. I would like to answer the chat. They do not provide any ID. Like I said, they will provide Google Doc only. So it's something similar to a Google Doc. You cannot compile. It will not point out your syntactic errors. And yeah, it will not have any autocomplete feature. So if you're relying on that, just be aware of this. Yeah, so coming back, the main thing that you should remember, the main thing that you should remember while the interview process is what the interviewer expects out of you. A lot of people mistake themselves by thinking that the interviewer is looking for the solution to the problem, while it is not true. The interviewer focuses more on your approach and your conceptual understanding of the problem. So it is important to give the solution, but what is more important is to be able to explain the approach and uh, think out loud. And this particular points that I'm sharing for interview not just stands for Google STEP, it stands for any other Google the way they take the interview is similar across, whether it's SWE internship, whether it's STEP internship, or any review interviews. This is the standard format they generally follow. So pay a little extra attention, and all the questions in the chat will be answered towards the end of the session. So you just have to focus on what the approach is. When I say what the approach is, first you'll be getting a question by the interviewer, right? They will list out the problem statement, and when I say list out, they'll have the question written on the doc. So the first thing you have to do is to make sure that you have the right understanding of the question. You have to read it, and you have to confirm with the interviewer that you've understood the question correctly. When I say that you have understood the question correctly, you have to pay attention, and you have to ask. You can probably give a test case. Okay, this is the test case. This question expects me to give this output. So this is the way where you can make sure that you've understood the question correctly. And all the interviewers, especially the ones at Google, encourage this practice, that you have the right understanding of the question. Another thing that Googlers focus a lot on is edge cases. So you have to keep in mind that you have to pay extra attention to the edge cases, as they give it a lot of weightage. So when I say edge cases, suppose you have a question of arrays. A possible edge case could be that there are negative numbers in that array, right? You should make sure what are the constraints. So if you have an array, and what is the range of values that you can take for that specific index. So all these questions, you should be very sure of the constraint and the edge cases, because it really matters to them that you have understood the question in addition to understanding the constraints, as well as be mindful about the edge cases, if at all there are any. So once you've understood the question, you're halfway through, and the next step is to propose the solution. Now, a lot of people jump to the final solution just after listening the question. I would recommend that all of you propose the brute force solution first. You have to let them know that the first thing that came to your mind is the brute force approach. Share it with them. I do not recommend coding the brute force approach, because anyhow later on you'll have to optimize it. Suppose I'm searching something using linear search, right? So it is taking complexity of O of n. right? And later I have to optimize it and move on to, I'll be using binary search. That is the optimized code. So after I tell the brute force method, even if it is very even if you know the optimized version straight away, make sure that you tell the brute force method first and then move on to the optimized solution. That okay, that was linear search, I can do binary search, and this is how it's done. After you share the optimized version, make sure the interviewer has understood your approach, and then you can go ahead and code it. Now, while coding also, you have to keep certain things in mind. The foremost thing is your code should be readable and self-explanatory. When I say readable, this is a special thing that they take care, they pay a lot of attention in Google, that your code should be readable. When you're using variables, you're not advised to use X, Y, Z, A, B, C. You should use long explanatory variables, that number of this, your count, or things like that, which explain what the which value the variables are holding. Again, another advice that was given to my given by my seniors, is that remember adding comments while you're writing the codes. These two practices are very important when you're giving a Google interview. Use variables that are self-explanatory. Second thing, add comments explaining what you're doing. Next, when you're just coding and suppose you have a for loop, right? You can just orally tell the interviewer that if I'm running my loop from X to Y, why am I doing it? It can just be one plain line, but be vocal, explain everything that is on your mind. So by now, I think that you're able to understand that it is not about how much you know or whether you can solve that question. It is how much that you are able to convey. Uh, Being able to convey your mindset and your thought process is important. And the questions are asked the lead code medium, so probably you won't be stuck at it. But just in case if you're stuck at it, it's not a problem. They will be dropping hints. If you are totally stuck at a place, the interviewers tend to drop hints so that you're able to solve the question. Another thing that they grade you on is how well are you able to pick up clues that they're dropping. So they might give subtle hints. Okay, if you're not able to think of something, you are like, um, I'm not able to think of something, can you help me out? You can ask for help and they'll provide hints, and that will not act as a negative thing for you. You can ask for subtle hints and they'll help you out, and using those hints you have to solve the problem. So summing this up once again, I would just like to, sum up the whole interview process, or what you should keep in mind for the interviews. First, clarify the question. Have a good understanding of the question. You should make sure that you've understood the question. Second, ask what are the constraints. So, if you have certain constraints, you'll have to take long instead of integer or something like that. That's why asking constraints are important. Third, make sure that you're covering the edge cases. Google pays a lot of weightage to the edge cases. Third, think of a brute force solution and share it with the interviewer. Also, it is always good to mention the data structure you're using and the time complexity of your solution if you're providing. So I'll be using so and so data structure, and this will be my time complexity of brute force. Next, you tell the optimized version, the data structure used, and the time complexity. Lastly, when you start coding, remember the two things that you have to remember while coding is use variables that are self-explanatory, add comments. Your code should be readable to a person who was not present in the interview. Just write it thinking that if any X person comes and reads my code, they should be understanding what's going on in my code. The comment should not be very long. It should be very short, very crisp, and explanatory. Another thing that I would like to tell is that a lot of people ask for feedback. And while it is okay for you to ask for feedback, you should always keep in mind that you're just asking for constructive feedback and not, requesting the result. So asking whether you have what you can improve on and what things, you can do better is another thing. But I've seen a lot of people asking, how did it go? Will I be come getting to the next round? Or such questions should be avoided. Although there's no harm in asking that, but I would recommend you avoiding such questions. Next slide, please. Um, Last minute strategies. Like I have been saying from the first slide, that Google STEP is all about DSA. The only thing they expect you to know is a programming language to implement the data structures that you know. So preparation strategy should be focused on DSA majorly. So I can share my DSA journey. This is not just for STEP, it is in general how you can, for people who have not started DSA, or for people, who are not that great, or who want to, further practice. So I was a total newbie. I hadn't coded, I did not code during my school days. I started coding after coming to college. So by the end of second year, we had that summer break that was, I think, 15 days long. That's when I picked up the first course. I took a coding ninja course, and I'm not saying that you take that course. That course was, it's completely optional which course you take, and in fact, it's not really necessary to take a course. I just felt that it just makes me more disciplined and regular. That's why I took a course. And that the purpose of that course was not to help me practice. The purpose of that course was for me to understand the basic data structures. What are data structures? What were the different kind of data structures? How to implement them, when to use what data structures, what were the time complexity when I'm using some certain data structures. So once I finished that course, I moved on to lead code. I think lead code is the best platform to practice DSA. So in this also you have two approaches. Either you can just do questions randomly on lead code, and a lot of people do that. But a more structured approach is to pick a sheet and solve a sheet. So what I did is I picked Striver sheet. I would say that all sheets are almost as good as the other one, but I personally prefer Striver. It's just a personal preference. Nothing like he's better than the other sheet. That sheet is better than the other sheets or something. But yeah, he has sheets of various lengths, and his sheets have really good explanation. So I picked up Striver sheet and I solved it. So that and I kept, after solving that sheet, I kept on doing more questions on lead code, and I generally used to jumble question. I used to not do topic wise questions, so that I have that intuition developing that okay, in this question I'm supposed to use this data structure. um Another thing which is very important while you are learning DSA is, do not focus on the result, focus on the process. A lot of you would try and do as many questions as possible, and I do not really think that that's the approach that you should follow. While exploring a wide range of questions are something that can help you out, is something that can help you out. But I think that you should also focus on how much time you're spending in one question, and are you really building your approach while solving that question. So again, look at the question, think of the brute force, try and optimize it on your own if possible. And to solve one question, there can be a lot of approaches. Make sure that you're paying attention to all the approaches. You make sure that you're paying attention to all the different approaches while solving the questions. That's more about it. DSA ka. So again, to sum up, first thing is, pick a sheet, or don't pick a sheet, just practice. And the only thing you have to keep in mind is think of the brute force, uh, think of the brute force, think of an optimized version, try implementing it on your own. And another thing that really helped me, a lot of people don't do it, but a thing that really works like a charm is, after you have submitted your solution, look at the best solution. Was your solution and this best solution having, does both of them have the same time complexity? Can your solution be further optimized? So try writing in your code in a very clean and optimized way. So when you look at others code, you learn certain tricks, and you learn the certain way of writing code that might help you. And probably that way of writing code might come naturally to you after a certain level of time period. But when you look at it, when you look at other solution, uh, it will actually speed up the whole process. And again, I would like to make myself clear, when I say look at other solution, I'm saying it after you have submitted your solution. Just don't give in and look up a solution uh you know uh, prior to you spending time on that question. So first you spend time, solve it, and then have a look at the other person's solution. Next page, please. Brushing DSA, like I said, STEP is all about DSA. And to be honest, there's no too much DSA, and there is nothing as to less DSA. I mean, DSA you can keep on doing. I still till date would want to continue DSA, and I would like to solve problems and all of that. So it's never uh, it's never too much, and it's never enough. So yeah, it's a confusing statement, but it's true. It's never too much and it's never enough. So keep practicing DSA. I would say be consistent. LeetCode is the best platform. Gives you a lot of incentive to be consistent. Another thing that I would like to point out is, all topics are important. I'm not telling that you should pick and practice, but if you're focusing on STEP, there are certain topics that are asked more frequently. First one, array and string. So array and string are basic questions. So in the first round of interview, generally they ask you array and string. The second one being hash maps. Generally, to optimize arrays, to optimize the complexity of arrays, you use hash maps, right, to store values. So hash maps, somehow I have used it a lot while solving DSA questions, and even in the interviews, I don't remember which question, but I remember using hash map. The next one is, they do not really ask tax queues and priority queues that much. So that is important. You should know what it is. They do not really ask a lot of linked lists also. You should know what it is. I'm not saying that you neglect these topics, just but pay extra attention to the other topics. That is arrays, strings, hash map, um, DP. DP is very important. At least 1D DP everyone should be thorough with. Then you have recursion, because they generally give you a problem of recursion and then ask you to optimize it, and that is done using DP. So that concept is important. And binary trees, yeah, binary trees is another question, is another topic that they ask a lot of questions in the interview. And yeah, topics like graph and tries and all of this, these are advanced GDSA topics. I'm not saying you shouldn't know that, you shouldn't have an understanding of what is it and how to implement it, but the chances of the interviewer asking you these topics are very unlikely. Yeah. So next slide, please. My experience as an intern. I was really overwhelmed when I received the mail that I have been shortlisted and I'll be interning in Google. And since that, things have been really nice. Google opens a lot of opportunities. I interned in Google in May 2023 to July 2023, and will be interning again this year, again between May to July, somewhere between May and July. But as an intern, the first thing that I want to say is this is an experience which helped me grow in all directions. When I say I'm not exaggerating, I'm being as honest as I can. It helps you in personality development. It helps you in networking. You get to interact with a lot of people of the same field and domain. You get to learn a lot. When I went there, I was interning in Bangalore. I was a full stack developer, and my tech stack was MERN, right? But the project that I had to work on was the project that I worked on required Java and Flutter, and I had no clue about Java and Flutter. So they gave me time and resources to ramp up and get up to speed. And then I not only learned a completely new language and learned a completely new tech stack, but then I successfully completed my project. So there is a huge difference working on a project that is a real-time project with such huge code base, where you'll be able to observe the design patterns. You'll be able to you know see how complex and how diverse the code base is. And a lot of people will be working on that same repository, so you'll be able to write code that is easily understandable. When you're writing code for a company, you have to make sure that you're readable, make sure that you're covering the edge cases, and all of this plays a lot of that helps you not you get a different kind of industrial exposure. So in terms of exposure, I think Google STEP was the best thing that happened to me. I grew as a person. I had significant increase in my confidence, though it should not be linked to the internship. But yeah, I had a significant boost in confidence after the internship. It was overwhelming. I had a great time at Bangalore. I had a great time connecting with my mentor, and obviously I got to learn a lot. I met a lot of people, and apart from this, like something that is different from the technical aspect, Google is a company that make sure that the interns and the employees are satisfied. So you have free food, you have gaming areas, you have indoor sports, you have gym, and then I think you have dorm rooms. It was so fun to go about the office exploring stuff. So I really enjoyed the whole experience. And after once you intern in STEP, then you get other opportunities also. You have generation scholarship, you have returning intern, and you will have a good net, you'll be connected to a good network of people. And then you will able to tap into more opportunities, and you'll be more aware of the opportunities as you will be a part of the tech community. Yes, next slide. Okay, so I see a lot of questions in the chat box, and I'll start addressing all of them. I think I just wanted to ask Ashish, should I address it from the chat box, or should I let them unmute and ask the questions?
We can do it both ways. Like
Okay,
whatever
so
it is
I would
feasible.
encourage people unmuting and asking questions. And after the question, I would also like to remind that after the question answer session, I'll be reviewing the resume also. So I would recommend that you unmute and ask, because there are a lot of questions on chat and I might miss some of them, but I'll be addressing the questions in the chat also. So you can start
Ma'am, I
raising
joined.
hands. Yeah.
I joined pretty late. Can you briefly tell what's this event about? Like, what's this Google thing about STEP Intern?
Google STEP Intern is just an internship opportunities provided to the second year underrepresented students. And I think you can ask a friend to give you an overview because it's been a long session and I'll not be able to go through all the points again. Yeah, but it is mostly about what was the process, how to apply, and what is it exactly about. Yeah.
Hello, Di.
Hello.
Di,
Hello,
is it
Anjali.
necessary to Hello, Di, is it necessary to deploy project on GitHub Live pages, or can we deploy at Netlify also?
No, you don't have to deploy on GitHub. You can deploy anywhere. I think I'm just saying that it's an advice that you deploy the projects because it's better to have a deployed project. I deployed it on Firebase. You can deploy it anywhere you want. Deploying the project has an advantage. You will be able to attach the link in your resume, right? That's it.
Can you
Okay.
repeat
How did you apply for it?
deployed it on?
What?
Could you repeat the website you used to
Firebase.
deploy Firebase? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Was
It's a very simple
it
process
free or
to
did you have to pay for it?
No, the cloud services, after a certain period of time, you might have to pay for it, but since you're not using it for commercial use and you're not using a lot of space, you won't. I didn't have to pay for my project, so you don't have to pay for it.
Didi, how
It
did you
was
apply for it?
Sorry,
How did you apply for it?
apply for Google STEP.
Yes.
So I had on-campus applications, right? So I just had to apply on the portal. And the application is very simple. Attach your resume and fill out the form. That's how you apply.
Dee, can you tell the best method to brush up the DSA concepts?
I would say that follow a sheet of short questions, and I think I generally make notes. If you brush up, as in you have solved the questions previously, or you want to
Yes, I did Coding Ninja's first till binary trees. I guess that's
so
sufficient.
So what I would suggest is pick a sheet, scribe a sheet with less number of questions and focus on the important topics first, right? There are, I think, 5-6 questions per topic in the. I think there's a sheet where you have less number of questions. So you have 5-6 questions of one topic, and in no time you will quickly brush up.
Okay, thank you, Dee.
Yeah. Yes, Ruchi.
It was really great. The entire session you explained really well. I had a little query that does adding a cover letter and referral really give an edge while applying off campus, or is it just
Referrals do make a lot of difference, right? So if you have a referral attached, the chances that your resume gets picked is higher. So if you have a referral, go ahead and attach it. I would recommend you to.
okay? Sure. Thank you.
Didi, this is not for first year students.
No, STEP is I think it is. They generally pick applicants. They generally pick second year students.
Ma'am, is it compulsory that whatever we have presented in our resume, the contents and the projects, are they asked? Like
No,
the projects, what we did in the
the
projects?
projects are not ours. Like I said, the interviews only consist of DSA. They do not ask anything apart from that.
Okay.
Is it necessary to apply via referral?
I think that if you're applying off campus, it's not necessary to apply via the referral, but you have a certain amount of edge if you apply with a referral. So you can actually reach out to anyone on LinkedIn and they'll give you a referral. It's not that hard getting a referral. Generally, people are, very cooperative when it comes to giving a referral, even if they don't know you at all. But yeah, you'll have an edge if you apply it with a referral, but it's not necessary to apply with a referral.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm. Some questions in the chat. Will they ask questions from resume? Praveen asks this question. No, Praveen, they do not ask anything else other than DSA. They just sometimes don't even ask your name. So you're safe on that front. They generally don't. I'm not really sure if they changed the pattern this year, but they do not generally ask anything from the resume. They do not ask anything, to be honest, except the questions. Yes, Nayan?
Then you can unmute
Thanks,
yourself.
ma'am, for
Yeah.
yeah, thanks, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity. Uh, ma'am, in which language we should focus more, C++ or Java?
So I started with C++, right? Because that's what was taught in our college. But if you ask me honestly, it does not really matter. I have seen people do DSC in Python, although I wouldn't recommend doing DSC in Python. But between Java and C++, you can choose any language, doesn't matter. If you learn one language, it will just take you 2 days to switch to the other language. So I code in C++, but for me to convert my code into Java, it will just take me, if I don't know Java at all, it will just take me 2 days to read Java and convert the code. So once you learn a language, it becomes easy for you to learn other languages also. And to give you, it's a very frequently asked question, C++ or Java. I would say that C++ has the concept of, pointers, and Java is based a lot on oops, right? So down the line, when by the time you reach your third year or end of second year, you will most probably know both the languages because you use Java extensively in development, and you use C++ is more like a language that's taught in your college. So you can pick any language right now. There is no problem. Eventually, you will have to learn both of them. So
Thanks a lot, ma'am.
yeah.
Ma'am, so should the person switch the coding language of Python for this? Because I am doing Python now and
So
I know
no.
somewhat Java.
Yeah, so you don't have to switch coding languages. My roommate was also the roommate that I have had in Bangalore was someone who did DSA in Python. So it's absolutely okay. A lot of people do it in Python. I'm just saying that if you have not started doing DSA, I would recommend that you either pick C++ or Java. But if you have started with Python, I don't see why it should be a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Didi, I'm a first year student.
Sorry?
Didi, I'm a first year student. I'm practicing on lead code right now. I have some data structures of I do my coding. I do my competitive programming in Java only. So shall I switch to CPP?
So generally people use C++ for competitive programming, and the reason it is compiles faster than Java, right? So if you're doing competitive programming, I would recommend CPP, the C++, right? But if you want to do DSA, there is no problem if you do it in Java or you do it in C++.
So Didi, I just wanted to ask. So I should focus on competitive programming or Java because I like solving questions and practicing on contest and code chef.
So I think you know C++, right? You're coding in C++.
Java.
So you're coding in Java, right? So it actually does not matter. First year is you should explore everything. In my first year, I explored a little bit of development, a little bit of this and that and that. So whatever interests you, this is the time where you can really explore. So if you're liking competitive programming, go for it. Start competitive programming. So competitive programming platforms are CodeChef and CodeForces that I would recommend, right?
Yes. Didi.
Yeah, so in that generally over the time you will see that generally people who do competitive programming have do it on C++. You have a larger community of C++ competitive programmers, right? So if you want to make a switch, you can. It is again very optional. It's not a hard and fast rule.
Okay, Di, but I practice on lead code right now.
So lead code, if you're practicing on lead code, it does not matter whether you're doing C++ or Java. You can just keep in mind that eventually down the line you'll learn both the languages at some point. So right now, whether you learn C++ first or whether you learn Java first does not matter. You can pick any language. It does not matter at all.
Thank you, Di.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
In which month will the coding round take place?
It should take place in January. So
And what
the
is
last day
Google
to apply. Another question is where I do not have an exact information, but I think on campus the last date to apply is 31st, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 31st is the last date to apply on campus. So I think a week within it, uh, they should, conduct the online assessment.
What is Google Hackathon? The form was
Google
asking, are we eligible for that?
Yeah, if you are if they ask you're eligible for Google Girl Hackathon, the answer is most probably yes. It does not mean whether you're taking part in that or not. Just if you're and a college student, I think the eligibility of Google Girl Hackathon is like you were a college student and you were an Indian, something like that. That's the eligibility. So you just have to say yes.
Okay, and how to
Just check
deploy
with the eligibility once, but I think that's the eligibility is pretty basic, so you can just say yes.
Okay, how to deploy our project?
You can get videos of how to deploy a project on YouTube. You can use Firebase. Firebase is a very easy thing to deploy. So you deploying is an easy thing you can do through your command line itself. So just look it up on YouTube. And if you have any doubt, uh, after looking at the video, you can just reach out to me personally. I'll just share my mail ID and my LinkedIn and GitHub. You can reach me.
Yeah,
Reach
and the
me.
last question. I have still
Hmm.
not completed my DSA. So, should I focus on the topics you said, or what should I do?
What topics are remaining?
Hash maps, binary trees, data, like
Okay,
all
so I
the data
think you
structures.
should focus on hash map. Hash map is important, and binary tree is also important. But yeah, these are I told you 6 topics, right? Array, strings, hash map, binary tree, DP, recursion. This is the order you should focus on. So if you're done with arrays and strings, focus a little bit on hash maps and try to cover binary tree. It's very easy. You don't have to do very hard questions. You just have to do basic medium level questions, right? So that would
I
be my advice.
haven't practiced anything on any platform such as LeetCode also. I have not practiced anything. So,
Pick
uh,
up Striver sheet. That's there is Striver sheet and then there's blind 75.
okay.
So you guys can note it. Blind 75 is another thing that you can, solve. There's a set of 75 questions. Just try and solve the important topics from that sheet. It will help you a lot. It will help you, cover up
Can you repeat blind? What?
blind 75.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
Do they allow
Uh,
students from non-tech branches?
yes, they do
Hello.
allow. Yeah, once again, they do allow students from non-tech branches. A lot of my friends were from electrical and mechanical. Yes, I think there was another
Hello.
girl. Yeah.
Can you please repeat the important topics of DSA, which is there is a
It
probability
is
that
not
they.
hard and fast the most important topics. I mean, the questions can be asked out of it or like outside it also, but I'm just saying these questions are more likely. First one, array, string, hash map, uh, binary tree, um binary tree and DP recursion.
Okay,
What's
thank
the
you.
CGPA criteria?
So there CGPA is something, again, it's good to have a good CGPA, but again, there's no point discussing it because you cannot improve it as such now. But yeah, there is no hard fast CGPA criteria that you have to score this much, only then you'll be eligible. I think you should try and keep it about above 8 or above, but sometimes
And also
7.5 and above are also accepted.
on the website of Google, there's no restriction for applying for males. Can they apply for Google
So a
STEP?
lot of them have been applying. A lot of them have been reaching out to me also. So I think that they are allowed to apply off campus, but the chances of them being selected is very unlikely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Uh,
Few questions are yet to be answered. They are in the chat. Can you just
yeah.
Saumya, but
So
briefly
I'll go over the questions in the chat. Uh, the question is, what questions were you asked? So we're not allowed to disclose the questions, but I can give you an overview, or I can hint you that what kind of questions were asked. So they were lead code medium to start with. They were lead code medium, and there were questions which involved optimizing through hash maps. And I think there was one uh, binary. I'll be honest with you, I don't remember. It was a year back, and I don't really recall the questions exactly. I just recall the topics. One was DP, one was array, one was binary tree, and one was recursion. So there were four questions, four things asked to me in the interview. Right, so I'm really sorry. I don't remember the questions asked, but I do remember the level of questions and how easy they were, or how. So you'll be able to solve them, don't worry. Next, they have their own ID. They do not, while the interview is going on, they ask you to code on something similar to Google Doc. So they don't let you compile or, check your syntactic errors. So that is the question. Will they ask questions from resume? No, they do not ask questions from resume. When will the coding round take place? Generally, a week or two after the applications close. So if your applications are closing on 31st December, on campus application closing on 31st December, then probably the coding round will be towards the end of first week or second week of Jan. How did you apply for it, or was it from college? So I applied this opportunity on campus, but I think the process stands the same. You have to go to the site and apply on the portal. Uh, when does coding round take place? I think yes, second week of January. Which month will the coding round take place? January. What questions asked from you? Any one question, please. So, one question I'm able to recall, there was this binary tree, and I was supposed to check if it is balanced, or so it was. There was this binary tree, and I was supposed to tell it's balanced or not. And the definition of balance was that the sum of the left tree, and the difference between sum of left tree and the right tree should be a specific number D. Right? So if I'm able to explain the question to you guys, there is a binary tree, right? And you have to tell whether it's balanced or not. And how to check if it's balanced or not? The sum of all the nodes on the left and the sum of all the nodes on the right. The difference between those two should be less than or equal to a specific integer D. So if every node is balanced in that way, then the whole tree is balanced, right? So this will simply be solved using recursion, right? So this was one question. You guys can try it out, and I remember a similar question on lead code, so it will have that logic, right? Next is, How much time will we hear back after submitting the resume? Now, after submitting the resume, you'll have the online assessment, right? So after the online assessment, again, it'll take 1 or 2 weeks for them to process and call you for interview. So according to the current timeline, it will probably be in February or late Jan. How is Code with Harry? Code with Harry is a good YouTube channel, but I did not really follow it, so I cannot comment. We should cover graph and trees. Yes, binary tree is an important topic. However, it's good if you cover graphs, but they generally do not ask questions from graph. Again, the question is repeating. How much time will we hear back from after the resume? You'll have an online coding round in second week of Jan, and then you'll hear back towards the end of Jan. Saumya, to be very honest, I've lost my touch with DSA for a month, and now I've had my hackathons and club activities. I'm really worried. Is it too late to be starting off again? For people who have practiced DSA and think that they have lost touch, I would recommend you to not code every question, but to just revisit questions using a Striver sheet. They have solutions attached. So just read the question, think if you're able to get a solution, and try and recollect the approach. So if you have done DSA at one point of time, I think you will be able to easily brush it up. So Ayushi, my advice to you would be that don't worry, and you can easily brush up DSA. You have a lot of time. And as far as you say that I do not have confidence if I'll sharpen my skill, that it's too late. So if you think it's too late, you are wrong. A lot of people start very late, and this whole process, the thing that can really make a difference is your confidence. So just don't lose your confidence. Do the best you can at this moment, and keep moving forward. Are third year CSE girls eligible for Google STEP? No, you're not eligible for Google STEP. You'll have to apply for the SWE program. Could you please give a timeline of the internship? Okay, I think I've cleared this. People like you from good already. Okay, then I have questions are repeated. Are freshers allowed? The second year students are the major people who are selected. So, Kushi, that's the answer to your question. Ma'am, when does the OA take place? Which language? Okay, so a lot of questions are being repeated. I think I have addressed all the questions in the chat. If anyone else has any other question, they can just raise their hand and ask them if you feel that I have, missed out your question.
Can you please check our resume?
Okay, so one by one, Shreyashi, sorry.
Yes, I wanted to ask you, I'm in second year, so अभी तक मेरा कुछ major project नहीं है, so if I don't have any projects, then is there any chance of me being selected?
I would say that build very small projects, put anything. They do not really check your resume. They do not shortlist you on basis of your resume. But don't leave your resume section enter, because I would say that they do not really care a lot about your resume. But yes, if you don't have projects, your resume will pretty much look empty. So put any project, any 3 hour, 4 hour project available on YouTube. You can just put it on your resume and focus on DSA, and the chances of you being selected will be as good as any other applicant.
Okay.
Okay. Next one, Arunima. Go ahead now. Go
From
ahead and
college. Yeah, I was saying that we
yeah.
received a Google form from college, but I don't think it's the official website of Google that's receiving the responses of the form. So do we have to apply for it separately?
So I think you should reach out your training and placement and ask this query to them, that is
All
this
right.
form enough? because generally what happens is they give you a Google form. Okay, they ask you to apply there, and then they make you apply on the website as well, right? So that's what happened in our case. I'm not really sure about your training and placement cell, but you should actually get this clarified by them, that is this Google form enough, or should I apply on the site as well?
All right, ma'am.
Okay.
Hello, Deep.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, my question was that do we need to submit our answers? Like you said, we will be doing in a Google Doc during our interviews, so we do not need to submit those.
No, you don't have to submit anything. While giving your interview, you just have to explain your thought process. They don't even run your code, to be very honest. They just look at your approach. So you don't have to do that. You don't have to submit anything. They'll just give you a link. You have to open that link. That link will be will open a document that is similar to Google Docs. And you'll just have to code on that. That's it. You don't have to submit anything. You don't have to take care of anything. Next.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Actually, this time NSUT have also given just a Google form. We are not supposed to apply on the website. So, is it sure it is a complete process of applying? We are just told to fill the Google.
So I would say that you have to ask your training placement for that. I think that your training placement cell can only answer that question for you, because I don't really know how things are to be done this year. So just to be sure, if that's what they have asked you to, then apply through Google form only. That will be enough. Also, there is a question in the chat. Is it good to make a resume on Google Doc? I would highly recommend you not to make resume on Google Doc. Use Overleaf. Right? If you want, I will show you how to use Overleaf. So you can just make your resumes on Overleaf and or similar tools like Overleaf, not on Google Docs or Word Doc or any doc.
Hello. Actually,
Yes.
I want feedback on my resume also.
Okay, yeah, just wait. I'll just address all the questions quickly, and then we'll just review. And then there are also, for all the guys who have attended this webinar, and they are asking that there are intern opportunities for males. Like STEP, one thing that I would advise all of you to do, something that you can do in second year, is GSOC. Right? So it is not an exact similar thing like Google STEP, but I've seen a lot of guys, positively impacted from it. So as a second year student, you can apply for GSOC and contribute, make open source contributions, and you will get paid. You'll get paid. It'll kind of be like a paid remote internship for some company, and it adds a lot of value to your resume. I think even more than Google Step. So for all the boys who've been asking me that is there a similar program, generally they do not roll out programs for second year students, but yes, you can contribute. You can be an open source contributor. There is also Girl Script. Also a program called Girl Script, that although the name says Girl Script, but it's again an open source program for the second, third years. You can apply, and boys are eligible to apply, and you can, contribute and get paid. It's kind of a paid job. You're not contributing for free. If your proposal gets selected down the line, you'll get paid for it, right? I'm trying to find. Yeah, Pulkit Batra has already shared the link to Blind 75 in the sheet. So all of them, all the guys who are asking that how can I brush up quickly, can refer to Blind 75. It's a very quick way to okay. What else? I think any other question, or can we just move on to because there are a lot of questions and I'm not able to address it. So if anyone has any like I'm not able to go through the chat. If anyone has a question that I have not addressed, they can unmute themselves and ask me, or else we just move on to the reviewing the resumes.
Dee, can you show how to
Everyone
use
be
overlays?
Okay, you want me to show how to use overleaf? Okay, okay, fine. I'll do that while while I'll be reviewing the resume. I'll just take a minute and show you how to use overleaf. Anyone else? Any other
Dee,
doubt?
I was
Everyone give
asking that
OA or they select on basis of resume.
What?
The everyone give OA or they select on the basis of resume.
So it depends. Off campus, I don't think everyone is allowed to give the OA. It is selected on the basis of resume. On campus, I think everyone is allowed to give the OA.
Okay, so यहाँ पे हम we can just
Dee,
go and
I
check
was
for the किसी के पास डाउट
Yeah.
बचे अभी
yes,
बचा तो
one
लास्ट
last
डाउट पूछ लो या go for it.
Dee, I was asking that हमें कॉलेज में C से DSA सिखाया है. So I know the concepts of DSA. So should I switch on C++ now, or is it
I
okay
would
if I continue in C?
no, I would recommend ki please switch to C++. C is it's a relatively harder language and you do not have a lot. But it's difficult when once you make a transition from C to C++, you will realize that it's way better for you to code in C++ because it's an easy language comparatively, right? So, we'll just go through the resumes once, like people who want me to share okay, Ruchi has already, shared her resume. I'll just open it. Ruchi, I don't have the access to your link. And I would recommend you sharing the screen and showing it yourself because I do not have the access.
Okay, I'll do it. Just a moment.
In the meanwhile that Ruchi is, sharing the resume, I'll just show you something.
Saumya, the two people cannot share the screen at the same time.
Okay. Now try sharing it now.
Yes. Is it visible?
Yeah, can you zoom out a bit?
Yeah. Just a
Yeah.
moment.
Okay. Ruchi, I would, like to say, if possible, just zoom it out. Yeah. Yeah, this is fine. So, it looks formal. Like I said, it looks formal. I personally think to add your GitHub link to your resume. It's important, right? If you
Okay.
if you have posted your projects on GitHub, add that. Another thing is you can probably move the skill section to the bottom, right? Because skill section, I mean, that's not something that you really want to attract attention to, right? So you can move your skill section. You can swap your skill section achievements. Again, it is just an advice. You don't have to follow it. Your resume is good enough. It's looking neat, and there's no problem with this resume as such. I'm just telling, if I was in your place, I would have swapped skills with achievement, or I would have just put skills at the bottom, because I don't really want to attract a lot of attention to it. Everyone knows Java, C++. Like every resume will more or less have the same set of skills, right?
Yeah.
While your achievements will be showing something that sets you apart, your achievements and your projects. So if you want to highlight that, just move that to the top. Yeah, that's
Okay,
about it.
so objective, education, achievements, projects, and then skills.
Achievement, yeah. You can do that.
Okay. Sure. And should we also mention the places we are volunteering or maybe the clubs we are a part of?
You can. I have, but do you really have space in your resume to mention it? You have to,
No,
shorten it some.
at the bottom line. but not exclusively.
So you have, I think, enough achievements. You don't really have to mention it. I mean, it looks just fine. You can the con. I mean, it's a good resume. You can make changes if you want to, but yeah, it's good enough. Also, just after BTech computer, like, just add a little more space after each comma in your education section. That's it. Apart from that, it looks nice. And again, another thing that I would like to tell everyone, some people like including objective, some people don't. So, like Ruchi has included objective, and there is no harm in that. I do not include objective in my resume. So, it does not mean that one is better than the other, but it's just resume is a very subjective thing. It is more about what you want to highlight about yourself. Right. So we'll move on to the next person.
Thank you.
Prithvi, can you okay, should I share it or will you share it? Okay. Prithvi, would you go ahead and Prithvi, could you go ahead and share yours? Okay, can I? Yes, I will. Wait just a second. Right. So, this resume, what I would like to let you guys know is this is not okay because I would want you to sum it up in one page. So, try to make it on overleaf. That's my first advice. The second advice is this much spacing is not required. It should be more shorter and your education should be on top, right? Experience should come after education. And again, your skills can come after your project, right? And instead of additional interest, additional information, you could just write co-curricular or something like that, right? And
Show us how to use overleaf.
okay, wait. Overleaf, I'm not going to show. Okay, wait. Are you able to see my screen? Right. So overleaf, you don't have. You just have to open a template. This is an already existing template that I opened, right? And you just have to fill information. Like here, you have GitHub link, right? You just it's supposingly you have work experience written here. It's a heading, right? So if I change work experience to something else, say Saumya Karnwal, I just write it like this and then I recompile it, right? The changes here, instead of work experience, I'll have what the hell? Saumya Karnwal written here. Did you see how it works? You just have to enter your content here and it will change here, right? And this is an existing template that I'm using. Okay. Right. Whose question was this? Overleaves. That are you able to understand? You also have visual editor. You can, instead of writing it in latex, you can just make difference. Make changes here, right?
Yes, Dee, thank you.
Okay. We'll just move quickly because I think session is getting extended. The next person who wanted to share yes, JD, can you share, whoever is J, share your resume. Okay, yes, Jagar, okay. Yeah, it looks nice. Projects. Also, another thing that I would recommend is, why do you guys have so many projects? Not a bad thing, but like generally you should keep 3 or maximum 4 projects. Try to, keep less. Now that you have kept these projects, I wouldn't ask you to remove it since you have space in your resume, but it is generally recommended that you don't keep a lot of projects. You just keep your top 3 or top 4 projects resume, right? Uh, and I would again say that education somehow should come, like, again, it's very subjective. You might meet people who would say something different than what I'm saying, but I would always, highlight my education, and then the skill portion can come later. But again, it's decent. It just looks a little, this template looks a little less form. I think the picture makes it a little less formal, but otherwise it's good. It's actually good. Never mind. Just try to make it a little more formal, if possible. And wait, the things that you want to highlight should be on top. Okay. Anyone else?
Yes, I want to share.
Yeah, go ahead. Is anyone else sharing, or are we towards the end?
I was so surprised at how much life was under.
Okay. Right. So, Aditi, try to, make this resume in one page. I think if you remove the spacing at top, it will do the job. And again, I think that, yeah, spacing is an issue, and the font size should be a little lesser, probably. Apart from that, uh, the things that you have, the sub tab, the content of the resume is just fine. It is perfect, but I would like you to, select a different format. I showed you, the first girl who showed Ruchi's format was really nice, right? So similar for, you could just reduce the spacing and, try to fit it you try to fit it in one page. Content is absolutely fine.
Okay.
Next person. Okay. So I think no one else wants to share the resume and get it reviewed, right? So I think we're towards the end of the session, and Medha, you can take over.
All right. So with this, the webinar comes to an end. I would like to thank Saumya ma'am for carving the time out for such an amazing session. And a special thanks to all my teammates at GDSC for the smooth conduct of the webinar. We would also like to thank our enthusiastic audience for the active participation in the session. So thank you all. Wishing you all a very good luck for all your future endeavors ahead. Thank you. With this, we come to the end of it.